the United States just struck Iran's crown jewel. President Trump announced moments ago that American forces executed what he called one of the most powerful bombing raids in Middle East history, targeting Kharg Island in the Persian Gulf. More than 15 explosions ripped through military installations on this 5-mile stretch of land that handles 90% of Iran's crude oil exports.
Can't tell you that. I mean, I have my own idea, but what good does it do? It'll be as long as it's necessary. They've been decimated. The country's there.
Think about that for a second. 90%. We're talking about 7 million barrels per day flowing through this single location. It's Iran's economic lifeline, and it just got hammered. But here's what makes this strike different from the hundreds of others we've seen since this war began 2 weeks ago. Trump specifically said he chose not to destroy the oil infrastructure.
I think they might be a little different, I guess. You know, they're a different country than we are. But he will tell you there's never been a power like the power of the United States. I built our military in my first term.
The military targets, the defenses, the Joshan Sea Base, the airport control tower, the helicopter hangar, all obliterated according to his statement. Yet the oil facilities themselves remain intact. Why would you bomb an island but deliberately avoid its most valuable assets? Trump's message was clear. He's holding those facilities hostage. His statement warned that if Iran or anyone else interferes with ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz, he'll immediately reconsider that decision. Translation:
worst case would be we do this and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person. Right? Most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, you know, we had some in mind from that group that is dead.
We can take out your oil revenue whenever we want, so keep that shipping lane open. Iran isn't backing down, though. Tehran responded with a threat to turn American-linked oil facilities across the region into, quote, a pile of ashes. Their new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, who took power after his father was killed in the initial strikes on February 28th, has made it crystal clear the Strait of Hormuz stays closed.
We've made it a priority to target Iran's mine-laying enterprise, their mine layers, the naval bases and depots, in addition to the missiles that could influence the straits.
No negotiations. The economic stakes here are staggering. Oil prices have already jumped over 40% since this conflict started, with Brent crude settling above $100 per barrel. That's the highest we've seen since the summer after Russia invaded Ukraine. And experts are warning, this is just the beginning. A retired Army official told CNN these strikes could send oil prices completely out of control.
We also projected 4 weeks to terminate the military leadership, and as you know, that was done in about an hour, so we're ahead of schedule there by a lot.
2,500 additional Marines are heading to the region right now, along with an amphibious assault ship. Speculation is running wild about what comes next. Some analysts believe this bombing raid was preparation for something far more dramatic, a possible attempt to seize Kharg Island entirely. That's where this situation gets really dangerous. Because seizing a heavily defended island 15 miles off the Iranian coast isn't like launching missiles from 1,000 miles away. You'd need ground forces to hold that territory. Marines flying in on helicopters or tilt-rotor aircraft, establishing a perimeter, defending against counterattacks. And Kharg Island sits just 15 miles from the Iranian mainland. Everything Tehran has can reach it. Artillery, rockets, drones, you name it.
Israel and U.S. forces still very much on alert tonight as Iran continues to fire. And now there's a new warning tonight from the State Department.
There is, Tom. Good evening. This building was hit by an Iranian missile. One woman was killed. And you can see that even with the risk, even with ongoing attacks against this city,
Iran has spent years preparing for exactly this scenario. They know Kharg is their most vulnerable strategic asset. You really think they haven't positioned defenses to make any occupation attempt a nightmare? Here's the calculation Iran faces. Let American forces seize the island and control 90% of your oil exports, or destroy the facilities yourself and deny them that leverage. Which would you choose? Because letting the U.S. maintain operational control means kissing that revenue goodbye indefinitely. There's no scenario where Iran just accepts that outcome and moves on.
Seem to be on a path toward deploying American troops on the ground in Iran to accomplish any of the potential objectives here.
The logical response, painful as it would be, is scorched earth. Deny the enemy what they came for. Turn those oil facilities into rubble before letting them fall into American hands. And Iran has made their position abundantly clear. Any attack on oil infrastructure triggers retaliation against every American-linked facility across the region. They're not bluffing. Since February 28th, Iran has launched over 500 ballistic missiles and nearly 2,000 drones.
The Straits right now is Iran shooting at shipping. It is open for transit should Iran not do that. Now, there's a reason why we chose as one of our primary objectives to destroy
60% aimed at U.S. targets. They've already demonstrated willingness to escalate. Our naval forces are positioned roughly 1,000 miles offshore for good reason. Get closer, and reaction time against incoming missiles shrinks to almost nothing. No time for evasive maneuvers, no margin for error. Yet occupying Kharg would require sustained supply lines by air, since approaching by sea puts vessels directly in the crosshairs. Every helicopter flight becomes a gamble. Iran's foreign minister said they're ready for an American invasion. This has to be what he meant. The most obvious targets with the most obvious vulnerabilities. Trump's statement demanding Iran lay down their arms sounds hollow when you're already at war and getting hit throughout your territory. They're not surrendering. That's not how this works. So we're left watching and waiting to see if those 2,500 Marines are heading toward an amphibious assault on Kharg, or if this bombing raid was simply another strike in an expanding conflict. Either way, the stakes just jumped considerably. The oil markets know it. Iran knows it. And now you know it too. This is the moment where miscalculation turns catastrophic. We're watching two sides locked in a game of chicken with global energy markets hanging in the balance. The next 48 hours will tell us whether this was a warning shot or the opening move of something far worse.